Okay, what we're looking at now in Lightroom is some of the presets that you can get in here. So we're just going to go, if you're in the library view, you need to click on develop. So the develop tab there. And then on the left hand side, you will see at the top there you've got presets. And if you just click the little arrow there, you will see all these different ones. Now, there's a lot of presets I really don't like. You can have a look through them, see what they do. But some are really good. And the good ones are the adaptive portraits. So if you've got portraits, you've got these different ones on here. So, and a couple of good ones is the glamour portrait and the polish portrait. I'm going to use the polish portrait. So if I click on that, you'll see how it's enhanced the picture straight away. Now, you probably didn't see that. If you look at the picture now, I'm going to reset it. So if you view the image, I'm going to click preset. And then that's just with the crop. I'm just going to put this back on. So you can see the difference there. That's before. That's after. Before. And after. So you can see it's enhanced the eyes and the skin slightly. It's not done a great effect there on that one. Let's just reset that. So we'll have a look at the different ones. Let's look at glamour portrait. It's probably a bit nicer. It's dealt with the skin there, so you can see enhance the eyes and everything on there. All the skin. If we look at the old image, and all I would probably do on that is I would apply a crop, and I don't have to do much else with the image. So they can be handy for some things. You can still use all the sliders, of course, and you know, do your own little tweaks, and I'm going to talk about those in a moment. Okay, so let's look at this image now. Obviously it's underexposed. It may be the mood that you're going for. You want it dark. But let's just say we wanted to get the perfect exposure. And I say perfect, that doesn't mean that's the exposure you want. You may want it dark like this, you know, but to get the very best exposure out of an image, a couple of tricks. So first of all, we look at the histogram. And we look at the exposure. Now what I'm going to do with the exposure, I'm going to take the exposure up, but what I'm going to do, and I think it's either Control or Alt. I think it's the Alt key actually in on Windows. I'm not 100%, so just try each key and see which one works. With a PC, sorry, with a Mac, it's the Command. I'll get it right in a minute. It's the Option key. So if I hold the Option key down, can you see it turns black? And if I drag this up to the right, can you see that picture starting to come in? Now what I want to do is I want to take this down, and I can still see a little bit of white in the middle there, and I'm going to bring it down until that disappears and then let go. And that is getting me somewhere now towards the correct exposure. Now what I'm going to do now, use the blacks and the whites. I'm going to go to the black slider. I'm going to hold that key down again, so Option on a Mac, and can you see, I can see some of the image. So if I go down, you'll see it's bringing more in. So I'm going to slide that up until that turns white. So I'm going to go, and just at that point, that's where it changes. So then I'll let go. And then I'll do the same with the whites. So I go to my whites, I hold the key down again, and if I go up, can you see that those two little dots now appearing? So I want it to make sure I take that down just until that disappears and it's black, and I'll let go. And there you have the perfect exposure. So that's one little trick to be able to get an image roughly where you want it. You could get it to that stage and then say, oh, I want to do, you know, I want to do something with it. It may be you want to change colours as well. If you want to make that look more like a night shot, you can drag the blues, and so you get like this blue tint to it. Or you could go this way and get more of a yellow tint to it. So you can tint your pictures however you want them. So it may look good like that. It's like you've got the night effect coming in there. And then with the male model, you may want to add a little bit of texture and a bit of clarity, which some people do. I'm not over keen on putting too much of that on there, but there you go. And then we can check the whites again, because we've altered things now. So if you go back to the whites, hold down the option, and we click on there, and we can see there's a tiny little white dot on there. So if I bring that back down to the left, and it's gone. And then we can check the blacks again. So we go to the blacks, we hold down the option, and you can see there's a little bit showing. So when we put those other things on, it's changed things slightly. So I'm bringing that upwards until that disappears. About there. There we go. So if you change colours and you add clarity and texture, you just need to check again that that's what you want. Of course, you haven't got to keep that. You can, you know, you can make it as dark or as light as you want, but that gives you more or less the perfect exposure by using that technique. And then you could add an effect like a vignette. So if we come down to the effects, we could put a little vignette on there just to darken the edges a little bit, just to give it a little bit more mood. Okay, so we can apply that same effect to this bird shot. If I just crop it first of all. So there's our crop. And I'm going to check the exposure first of all. I'm going to hold down my option key and click, and I can see there's a couple of areas there. Now what I'm going to do first of all, I've still got the option down, I'm going to take down my whites a little bit and my highlights down just a touch. Until that's gone. So we can see now we haven't got anything going over. That's much nicer. Now let's go to our blacks, and what we want to do with that is to bring it down until we get that coming in, and then we take it up until we just, all those colours disappear. Now we've got the correct exposure. Now I may just want to change the colour temperatures a little bit, just add a little bit of blue, tiny bit of red, and that's, there we go. Again, we've got that perfect exposure. Okay, so now we're looking at this duck, and again we're going to apply a crop first of all. Okay, now we're going to use the same technique. So I'm going to look at the old exposure first of all. I'm going to hold down option and click, and I can see there's quite a few little bright areas. So I'm going to bring that down just a touch, and then I see these are the bright areas there, so I'm going to bring down the whites. Again, I'm holding down the option, and I'm going to use the highlights as well, and we have now got to the stage where we've lost all of that. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the blacks, and we can see we've got a little bit of the black there, and we bring it up until we've got that right. Now if we look at the image, okay, we've got the right colour now on the actual ice, on the water, but we need to bring out the bird. So how do we bring out the bird without affecting the rest of the image? Well, this is when we use a mask. So if I click on this mask tool here and I select subject, it will find the subject, which, see, it's red, and then I can bring the exposure up just a little bit on the duck, bring up the shadows, down the highlights a little bit. So now we've adjusted that to get that how we need to, and then we can look again. Let's just go back, click on there to get rid of that, and then if we go back to our blacks and hold down option, nothing showing there. If we go to the highlights and we click there, there's a little bit there down the whites. Let's go to the whites. So I'm going to drag the whites down a bit, drag the highlights down just a tiny bit, and that really, I think, is just about it. So we've now got our perfect exposure on the duck.